everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Lily, aka lilykoi, and I just got back from a trip to the mainland. I don't ever want to do it again. So I thought that now might be a great time to go over some of my tips for staying healthy and committed to your whole plant food diet while you are traveling all around the world. I'm gonna break my tips down into 3 categories. The first category is all about getting enough of the right kinds of foods while you are away from home. The second category is all about protecting your immunity, because everybody knows that the best place to get sick ever is on an airplane. And the third category is about staying hydrated, because literally just thinking about going onto an airplane and into the air conditioning makes me feel dehydrated. Which is why I have my water and my tea and my freshly homebrewed turmeric kombucha. So getting enough food. Basically, if we're talking about a healthy whole plant food diet that's like relatively low in sodium, that means that you are bringing all of your own food. Depending on how much room you have to bring food, you can go as crazy as you want with this. I have personally gotten onto airplanes with multiple Tupperware containers full of rice with curry, sweet potatoes, all kinds of stuff. And yes, I had a pretty epic argument with the TSA agent about whether or not the curry was liquid or solid since it had soaked into the rice. I won, I got to keep my curry. But for this most recent trip, I didn't have any room in my bags, really. So what I did this time was bring fresh and dried fruits, plenty of nuts and seeds, a few of my semi-famous oat cookies, and some other weird superfoody stuff that I'm gonna get to in a second. I also had a few emergency Cliff Bars kind of stuffed in random pockets in my purse and backpack, which I ended up not actually eating because I had plenty of food, but it's always good to have those as a backup. But if you can't be, or you don't want to be, a healthy food pack rat, then it also pays to know your fast food chains. So Taco Bell, Chipotle, Qdoba, Domino's Pizza, any sushi restaurant, Subway, they all have lots of vegan options. When I was traveling this time, I stopped by Qdoba a couple of times and got one of their, I could say big bowls, but they're like a quarter of the size of what I usually eat. But I got one of their big bowls of brown rice and black beans and lots of fresh veggies on top. And that's not bad. Like, I actually managed to check off the daily dozen while I was traveling. I'm pretty impressed with that. It's a little high in sodium, but the plane is going to bloat me anyway, so what the heck? And once you get to your destination, find a grocery store. Usually I have Googled grocery stores in advance when I know where I'm gonna be, like if I'm gonna be in a hotel or if I'm staying with family. I already know where the closest grocery store is. With this recent trip, I ended up in some random suburbs in Houston, and like the closest grocery store was 2 miles away, and it was the 99-cent only store. Not necessarily ideal, but I walked there, I got my groceries, and I walked back with probably like 20 pounds of food. It was kind of ridiculous. But even going to the 99-cent store, which, isn't my beloved Whole Foods, I was still able to find the basics to make a really good meal for myself. I got some canned beans, I got some sodium-free canned tomatoes, there was salsa, there was pre-washed salad mix, there was a surprisingly great variety of fresh veggies, and I even managed to find some vegan barbecue sauce and 10 pounds of potatoes for $2. And because I had access to a small kitchen, I was able to cook some of those potatoes, which was like a lifesaver. Anytime I got hungry or peckish, I could just go to the fridge, grab a cooked potato, put some of my vegan barbecue sauce on it, and emotionally eat it to self-soothe myself. Family of origin stuff, you know. Which brings us to our next category, which is protecting or increasing our immunity while we're traveling. I have a definite tendency of getting ill when I travel, and I hate it, so this time I wanted to make sure that I was going to be healthy the entire time I was traveling. I wasn't sure if I would have access to a lot of fresh foods or the amount of greens that I'm used to, so even though I generally speaking do not utilize many superfoods, I did actually bring some with me. I picked up this guy, which is Garden of Life. They call it Perfect Food, which really kind of chaps my ass, to be perfectly honest, because this is a powder. Powder is not food. But it did have a lot of fruits and veggies, which delivered plenty of vitamins and minerals, and it even had a probiotic and enzyme blend in it. I don't know. Hippies. Regardless, it worked for what I needed it to do, you know, keep me going while I was traveling, and this is not something that's going to be a part of my daily diet ever. So what I did was I packed it into this small jar, which I thought would be about, 2 weeks worth of what I would need. Turns out I even brought too much, and I ended up finding kale for 98 cents a bunch in Texas. Kind of makes me want to move to Texas. The other thing I brought was this, which was pretty much full to the top when I left, and it was half turmeric, half ginger, and then a bunch of black pepper cracked in there. And I would take about a teaspoon to maybe a tablespoon's worth of this pretty much every day, and there were a couple of times where I was traveling, I was stuck layovers in the airport, or I was just stuck in air conditioning all day long in Texas, and I started to feel like the throat tickle and a little bit of ugh in my sinuses, and I would take this and maybe lay down and rest for a while, and I ended up not getting sick, which was wonderful. I also brought along some of the matcha, maitake, and lion's mane mushroom powder that I had, so I could keep up my green tea habit, and then the mushroom extracts are known to be quite a bit beneficial to the immune system. So I was very happy that I had this while I was traveling as well. I also brought along a few of these, which are little pouches of electrolyte powder. This is the Dr. Price brand, and I really appreciate this brand because there's, no sugar, no weird sweeteners. In addition to the electrolytes, it has plenty of trace minerals, so I really like these guys. We just order them off Amazon. Levi uses them for work all the time since he sweats so much. I also brought one of my favorite products along, and I ended up using it all. It's called Wellness Fizz. I'll link it down below, and it's like my go-to anytime I feel like I'm starting to get sick. And I used it, preemptively this time while I was traveling, but you just plunk a little tablet into water and it fizzes up. And then you drink it, and again, like no gross ingredients or weird sweeteners, and it helps keep my immunity in tip-top shape. Which brings me to the last category that I really focus on when I'm traveling, and that is hydration. It was such a heartbreaking day when the TSA decided that you could no longer bring full water bottles through the checkpoint, and the $6 airport water bottle was born. So fortunately, most airports now have these awesome water bottle refill stations, so I just bring my stainless steel water bottle and I go and I refill it as many times as I need to. Unfortunately, even though that water is supposedly filtered, it still tastes like chlorine and chemicals. And I am a water snob. Home is where my Berkey filter is. So I don't like drinking water that has gross taste. So all of my powders and blends and yummy electrolyte mixes and wellness fizzies, they really help with disguising the flavor of the water that I'm drinking, just to make sure that I'm still actually drinking water, because I think the only thing that's worse than drinking gross water is getting super dehydrated in an airport. So in addition to the different powders and such that I've already talked about, I have two other tricks. One is to go to, one of the airport convenience stores, and I just buy a little bottle of juice. And then I take that little bottle of juice and I pour a little bit into my water bottle that's full of water, and it gives it just enough flavor and just enough sweetness that I am more willing to drink the water, since I can't taste all the chemicals and chlorine that I'm drinking. And then that little $4 bottle of juice usually lasts me for at least 4 water bottles full. So if I use that in conjunction with the different powders and stuff, I end up staying really hydrated. Another one of my tricks is to bring my tea infuser, and it comes with this little metal basket, and what I do is I pack the little metal basket full of loose leaf tea before I leave home. Obviously you can't go through security with liquid in your tea infuser, so what I do is I go through with my loose leaf tea, and then I stop by the first Starbucks or other coffee shop that I see, and I ask if they would just be willing to fill it up with hot water. They're always happy to do it, and then it fills up and bingo, I have a free cup of tea. And that is how I stay hydrated. All right, you guys, those are my travel tips. I found that if I leave home well prepared and with the intention of sticking to my whole plant food diet, or predominantly whole plant foods, this is not a whole plant food, but whatever. If I leave with that intention and I'm prepared, then I do really well when I travel. So make sure you are physically and materially prepared as well as mentally prepared for your travel, and I think you'll do just fine. And if you guys have any favorite travel tips of your own, please leave those down below in the comments section so we can all learn from each other and be really successful in our journeys around the world. So thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, make better choices for yourself. No one's gonna do it for you, and take really such good care of your precious selves. I will see you all very, very soon. Bye!